Yo, what's going on, guys? I wasn't gonna film this, but I figured, you know what? This might actually be pretty interesting. So, what I'm doing is my beloved DualSense controller is developing stick drift. And what stick drift means is that, well, it's happening with this directional stick. It means that the joystick is registering, not always, sometimes, that it thinks that the left analog stick is in this direction when it's not. So usually the ball could be worn out, usually is the case, and usually the controller is useless and you have to replace it. This is a $107 controller, Canadian. So I figured, you know what, since the controller is already screwed up, you can't make it any worse than it is, right? So I've watched videos in the past how to take apart the controller, because I was actually thinking about modifying the controller a long time ago, but I never actually did. So I started taking apart the controller. You can see here, I got the back piece off. So I figured, you know what, maybe I'll make a little video showing, you know, taking it apart, because there's actually videos when people replace the battery, right? And so forth. But this is the third controller that's developed stick drift. This one is only like 5 months old, not even, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to take out the left analog stick. And I've heard people say, try to clean it with rubbing alcohol, 99% isopropyl alcohol. So I'm going to do that and see if it works. You know, I'm not really counting on it. In my experience, you probably just got to replace the joystick, but maybe I'll even have, because I have another one that's defective also, but I don't remember if the left stick is what's bad. It's usually, for some reason, for me, it's always the left stick. So what I'm thinking is maybe I can swap it with another one, right? The other defective one. If the other defective one, if the left stick is right, maybe I can, you know, figure out how to swap it. But just figure I'll show you guys this, man. It's pretty cool. This is the battery of the DualSense controller, if you're wondering. All right, I'm here, and here we are again. Now I'm pretty deep in the controller. There's like no turning back now. This is the motherboard for the controller. And you can see I've taken it out, and now I have access to the thumbsticks. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to try to clean this with rubbing alcohol. Put it all back together, and hopefully it's fixed. I'm not expecting this to be fixed, but this is pretty much what everybody's doing with stick drift. And for a lot of people, this has solved it. And for others, it hasn't. So I figure, you know what, I'm already, you know, it doesn't cost me anything to do this. So why not, you know? It doesn't look to me like it's, you know, dirty or significantly dirty or anything. So, but you never know. So I just, in case you ever wondered what it looked like, this is what the DualSense looks like when it's, you know, taken apart. You know, I'll be honest, this stuff is actually very fascinating to me. I like taking stuff apart like this, apart like this and learning it. So I've taken off the left thumbstick here, and you can see this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like under the controller. So when you turn the knob, see, this is what you're moving. When you press L3, so you push this in for L3. So to me, it does not look dirty. I don't know, but I'm gonna pour some rubbing alcohol in there, move it around, and see what it does. And if you didn't know, rubbing alcohol actually does not really hurt electronics. It evaporates almost instantly. So if you're wondering, that's what it looks like under your thumbsticks. This little rod here is what you're moving around. See? Alright guys, I didn't show this, but this little green part where my thumb is, I actually removed it. And there's a little white plastic underneath it with a goldish metal piece. I guess that's where this makes the contact with, and I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol. I didn't want to stop the camera and film that as I was doing it, because it's very, very delicate. And so to be honest, that piece was already clean. I didn't see any debris or any dirt in it, so I'm not hopeful that this will work. But since the controller is already, you know, pretty much useless at a competitive level, you're not going to play with stick drift. I figure there's no harm in taking it apart. So I'm going to put it all back together now. I'm going to try the controller. Hopefully the controller still works. And if the stick drift is still there, then I got to get a new one. I got to get a new controller. Now, I don't think I'm going to buy another PS5 controller. Some people on my Ghost of Tsushima page has recommended me getting the DualSense Edge, or even these Hall effect controllers that use magnetic contacts instead of this PlayStation style contacts, and those are pretty much, I guess, indestructible or not susceptible to stick drift. So I'm going to look into those as the next joystick, because I'm not going to go buy this joystick again knowing that it's probably going to happen in another 6 months with the way that I play. So let's put it together and see what happens. You know what, for the purpose of the video, I decided to take off that green clip and show you guys the white piece I was talking about, because you're probably never going to see this again. And you see that I'm actually gonna go now, and I was just thinking about it. I'm gonna actually go and take the rubbing alcohol and clean this silver piece that you see my thumb is. I know it's hard to focus because we're dealing with very delicate pieces that are very, very small, so it's hard for the camera to focus in there, but I'm gonna clean it and see if that helps. All right, guys, and as you can see, I have reassembled the controller. Everything feels normal. You'd never know. Now the question is it going to work still? So I'm going to plug it in to the PlayStation 5. Actually, this controller has never been used on the PlayStation 5. This is for the PC. So I'm going to plug it into the PC, and let's see if it still works. Alright guys, so at least I know the controller's still working, because you can see here, and this is the left stick is the one that I took apart and cleaned. So it is working. Now the only question is it going to have stick drift? Is it going to have stick drift when I play? So that's what I'm going to try right now. But the main thing is that the controller is working again. It's back to normal. The computer is detecting it. Everything appears to be working. Now I'm going to try it and see if it works. So the controller is working. So whatever I did not fuck it up. It's working again. Now I'm going to have to play now and see. What was happening before is I wasn't touching the controller and he kept walking to the left. He was stuck on the left until I touched the controller again. So obviously in competitive gaming, you cannot have that happening. Okay? So I'm going to test it now and see if it's still doing it. And hopefully it's resolved. But I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know, man, if it's going to really fix it. But I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol. I took it apart, you know. So let's see if it works. I hope it does. Because right now I can't trust the controller unless I know it's working, you know. So this is like the last ditch effort. Alright guys, let me play around, and hopefully I'll let you guys know if it worked. Alright guys, so the controller is put together and it appears to be, you know, working. So that tells me that I didn't screw up anything when I took the contacts out and took that little piece of metal out of the that's inside the thumbstick. And I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol, so you can see it's working pretty good. I've been playing for 5 minutes. I haven't seen any stick drift, but I'm not going to call it a win yet. You know, I'm going to have to play around with it and report back. But if you were wondering, did I destroy the controller? No, it's still working the way it was before. So I'm going to play around with it, and I'm trying to, you know, it's when I went to the left. He would just keep walking. So I'm gonna play around with it and see if it's doing it. You can see it's not doing anything right now. You know, it's working right now, but I'll probably do another video if this is like 100% successful. You know, I'll know when I play a full game whether or not it's doing it. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because it was actually pretty fun for me to do it. And you know what? Just because I did all that, it actually gives me the confidence to take apart the controller and actually build a custom one. Because I've seen there's kits online where you can build a custom one. But I'll be honest with you guys, I don't trust PlayStation 5 controllers. This is the third controller that this happened to. So I think I'm going to listen to a lot of people. I might get myself the DualSense Edge, because with the DualSense Edge, if the thumbstick ever screws up, you can always just change it and replace it with a new one. Or the other option is, I've heard people say, get one of those new controllers that have the Hall effect, which is a magnetic thumbstick contact that supposedly lasts longer or almost indestructible. So maybe I'm going to look at those, but I don't think I'm going to purchase another PS5 controller, knowing that this is probably going to happen again down the line. But the experience of taking apart the controller and fixing it, I really enjoyed that. Now, I know some people said just clean it with alcohol, but I'm glad I went all the way down to the contacts themselves inside the controller and cleaned it. All right, guys. See you guys in the next one. Well, as you can see, it did not work. So taking it apart and cleaning it did not work. The controller is still, look at it, still has stick drift. So what does it mean? It means I got to replace the controller. That's pretty much what it means. No ifs, ands about it. I don't trust the controller. And I already knew, like, you know, cleaning it and all these things would never work, but I figure, you know what, it's already here. It'll make a cool little video. And I mean, for the small little minute possibility that it did work, it would have been great, but this was a failure. You know, it doesn't happen all the time, but you know, when you're playing competitively, it's no good. You can see it's still doing it. So now some people have recommended that I buy the high-end PlayStation 5 Edge controller, which is like $300. And that is a very expensive, because this is a $107 controller. That one is $300 after taxes. Now, the only benefit about that one is that if this ever develops stick drift, those ones you can replace the thumbsticks for like $10, right? They're replaceable. These ones are not replaceable. The thumbstick is soldered onto the motherboard of the controller itself, so not replaceable unless you're like a, you know, like a really good with electronics and you know how to solder and stuff, which I'm not going to do. To me, it's a waste of time to do all that. I'd rather just replace the controller. So I might looking at the Edge controller just because I can replace it. And think about it, this controller essentially failed in 5 months. So Edge controller might be worth it when you think about it. Now, the other thing is, people have said that there's companies who make the PlayStation 5 controller, but they've replaced the connection with these Hall, I think they're called Hall effect kit contacts, which is a magnetic contact, and then you don't have to worry about this problem. So I may look into that also. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I enjoyed doing it, even though it was a failure. But anyways, guys, see you guys in the next one.